Okay, so my name is Hicks, and this is my service puppy, Apricot. So I want you all to imagine bringing your pet into a restaurant, a mall, or even a grocery store. The pet is supposed to act calm, not interact with anyone or anything. It probably wouldn't end well, would it? So this is what I have to do to train Apricot to become a service dog. So I connected with a program called Guiding Eyes for the Blind, who has several locations located throughout the Northeast, who raises hundreds of service dogs each year. The organization has many volunteers who spend 14 to 16 months training, socializing, and loving a puppy who will hopefully become a service dog. So I decided to become one of these volunteers called a puppy raiser to raise Apricot until around next August. Apricot is now 5 months old and is on her way to becoming a service dog. So Apps is probably more traveled than any of your furry friends will ever be. Apricot has been to Bed Bath & Beyond, Home Depot, and even to Market Basket. Traveling around the community of Merrimack, Bow, Concord has shown me how much people enjoy seeing a little tiny puppy in training. So people stop to watch me, they see how I'm training her, why there would ever be a dog in a supermarket, how well she is doing in her training, and they stop to appreciate the time Apricot and I are taking to help another person. So across the United States, 0.9% of people with disabilities are partnered with a service dog. There are around 43 million people around the United States with disabilities, which means there's around 387,000 service dogs across the US. There are also 3 different types of service dogs. There are seeing eye dogs, which is what Apricot will hopefully become, which is help people who have poor eyesight or no eyesight at all. The guide dogs also provide their owner with a significant level of independence when allowing them to leave whenever they choose. They don't need another person to bring them out whenever they want. They also make their owner feel very safe traveling across the streets and around town, even in New York City, traveling in such a busy area, they make them feel safe. So there are also service dogs who are helpful with psychological or health issues, such as diabetes, blood pressure, and even PTSD. And there has been many studies done that show a positive impact on veterans who suffer from PTSD. The dogs help keep their owner calm and help eliminate their triggers so they won't have any episodes. The dogs who help diabetes that are able to detect blood sugar level 20 to 40 minutes faster than a human could, which could help anybody from going into diabetic shock. There are also hearing dogs who help people who are deaf. So one of the quotes from my fellow puppy raisers is, "It has put me in a unique position, being legally blind and very involved in the blind community, to see just how much these dogs are depended on, loved, and provide independence to their blind partners." So it does take a while for the puppies to adjust to be treated like a service dog. So how many of you would go up to a dog in a store if you saw one? Most likely many of us. I certainly would have, but I was amazed at how many people know the rules of service dogs. Last month, I took Apricot to Market Basket and brought her into the store. Many people would look to see if I was blind or to see what was on her jacket to see what I was training her for. Most people know that you're not supposed to pet a service dog while they are training, or you can ask permission from the owner to pet the dog. So many people pulled aside to the aisles and just watched me walk through the aisles of Market Basket, and we walked around for about 15 minutes, but nobody asked me if they could pet her, they just kind of watched me. So I was personally amazed at that situation of how many people knew not to pet the dogs. Even children in the store avoided her, but me at my 10-year-old self, I would 100% have dove towards any dog I would have seen. So having this experience has shown me how much people respect service dogs. So the training of seeing eye dogs is actually very intense. So the first step is they have specifically breeded puppies to have certain traits of service dogs. Next, they come to a puppy raiser at around 8 weeks, which is when I got Apricot. The puppy raisers have the dogs for about 14 to 16 months. And the puppy raisers teach the pups to have house manners, simple skills, and socialize the dogs. The puppies are supposed to go on outings at least 5 times per week and go to classes every other week. At the end of 14 to 16 months, the puppies will take their IFT test, which and if they pass, they will go on to graduate school, where there's an intense training for about a year with all the other dogs in the program. This is their final step to becoming a service dog. If they pass the final step at the end, they will be put with a person to see if they match and if they could be companions. So if they do not pass, they are considered flunkies and are offered to the police department or the bomb squad to see if they need any of them there. If no department needs the dog, they are offered back to the raisers to become house pets. And it's true that in Guiding Eyes for the Blind, 50% of the service dogs do not pass. The dogs could flunk out for reasons like they are overconfident, they are don't have enough confidence, or they are distracted by a certain object which will not go away. So I have very high hopes of Apricot becoming an amazing service dog, but there are still some things we need to work out. So some difficulties I've had during this experience is that you cannot treat Apricot like a normal puppy. She should always be learning and training whenever she is awake. And she cannot act like my other dog, Splash, who sits on the couch all day and sleeps. So another difficulty I faced was with Apricot's distraction by other dogs. She gets very, very distracted around other dogs, which is not a very good quality of a service dog. So also, before I started this project, I did not know how time-consuming having Apricot would be. When I got her, I realized that it's kind of like having a baby and that you need somebody to watch her at all times. So even through all of the rough patches, she's an amazingly talented dog and will go on to become a dependable pup to a person in need. So working with Apricot these past few months has impacted me greatly. It has made me so much more aware of the blind community and has given me the connections to people that will last forever. I love working with and training with Apricot more than I ever knew I would. My work with Apricot will continue for around the next year, and she will continue to improve her skills. Many people ask me how I am going to give her up at the end of our training together, and while it does make me sad that our training will end together and we will be going our separate ways, I always say to myself that I want to keep her, but somebody else needs her. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you. Yes?
So if Apricot doesn't pass her test, would you consider keeping her?
I will 100%. She will probably stay with my mom and my dad for while I'm at college, but yes, I will 100% keep her. Any other questions?
Dylan, you talked about the number of people with disabilities versus the number of service dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Is it because service dogs are so hard to train, or what is the reason for such a small amount of service dogs?
Well, some disabilities do not require a service dog, but other disabilities can be improved with helping a service dog. Like with autism, service dogs could be a part of their recovery, but it's not like required. And it is like true that there's a shortage of puppy raisers and dogs that actually pass throughout the course. So it is true that they're very hard to train, and it's very hard to get the qualities of a service dog that you need to help people.
Excellent. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.